Good Tuesday evening. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ed Bloodsworth with WKRG News 5, and this is your tropical update. Of course, the big story is Idalia, a Category 2 hurricane as of the 7 p.m. Tuesday evening advisory. Maximum winds up to 105 miles per hour, and the storm is continuing to intensify. In fact, a pinpoint eye has now been clearly visible here with this powerful storm. And as hurricane hunters fly through, they're continuing to watch the pressures fall. So signs of an organizing hurricane here sitting over extremely warm waters in the eastern Gulf of Mexico. Here's the latest forecast track from the Hurricane Center, new track at 10 p.m. This is still forecast to reach the Florida coast as a Category 3 major hurricane. Maximum winds could be as high as 125 miles per hour. And right now, the forecast landfall point areas south of Tallahassee or just to the east, maybe towards the Cross City area. But of course, keep in mind the effects from this hurricane will be felt well outside of this cone. In fact, effects have already been felt all day long across the entire western coast of the Florida peninsula. After it makes landfall, of course, it will weaken, but it will be a fairly quick moving hurricane here, eventually dropping back to a tropical storm by Wednesday night into early Thursday morning. But that point, it crosses Georgia, works through South Carolina, and perhaps hovering through the North Carolina coast as we head towards Thursday afternoon. From there, it'll move back out into the Atlantic waters, still maintaining itself as a tropical storm. So a lot of areas will be impacted. Let's talk about the wind gusts. This is our forecast wind gust model. I want you to pay attention to the area of red. That is at least Category 2 wind gusts, and we're seeing some signs that our modeling is suggesting perhaps high-end Category 3, low-end Category 4 wind gusts. And that is not out of the question with this strengthening storm as it will make its way inland. Now, of course, the main hurricane gust, the worst, will be felt right near the landfall point as the eye wall starts to move ashore. From there, it will likely still spread hurricane-force wind gusts as far inland as I-10, perhaps into southern Georgia as well, near Valdosta. From there, it'll continue to weaken, still spreading tropical storm-force winds the entire way as it approaches its way and makes its way all the way through the Carolinas. Storm surge going to be the big issue with this, especially near the landfall point near Apalachee, Florida, around 3 to 6 feet projected. Perhaps there, of course, through Apalachee Bay. The highest surge will occur to the right of the landfall point. And look at this. Some of the modeling now suggesting perhaps actual individual storm surge amounts could exceed 12 feet. That would be absolutely catastrophic if that does occur. But look at this, all the way down Horseshoe Beach, all the way down to Cedar Key, 9 to 12 foot surge. This is going to be a pretty significant event here, likely a historic event for this part of Florida. Farther south could still see 6 to 9 foot surges south of Crystal River along the Pasco and Citrus counties area. Then as you get down towards Tampa Bay, about 3 to 6 feet of projected surge, and then surge on the opposite coast with a strong onshore flow during especially those high tide cycles, 3 to 6 feet from Daytona Beach, St. Augustine up to St. Mark's, Brunswick, Jacksonville coast, and even farther north, 6 to 9 feet once you get into some of the inlets there near Beaufort, South Carolina. Savannah, 3 to 6 feet projected there. Again, that's just with the strong onshore flow from what will be a very powerful hurricane. So Idalia will certainly leave its mark. Also, rainfall. Current rainfall projections do suggest that some areas could end up with perhaps up to a foot of rain there near the landfall point. Tallahassee, maybe upwards of 8 to 12 inches of rain, and that rain swath will continue to spread through South Georgia, maybe widespread 6 to 8 inches of rain, isolated higher amounts with lesser amounts once you head up towards Wilmington, maybe closer to that 3 to 6 inch range. But yes, where that storm continues to race on through, it will leave in not only the threat of saltwater flooding, but of course, freshwater flooding. Inland flooding will be a big issue. Surf advisories for our part of the Gulf Coast. High surf warnings are in effect for Wednesday. Reason being, there will be some significant wave activity out ahead of this system as it starts to work its way towards the coast. Our area could see wave heights on the order of 6 to 8 feet, maybe up to 9 feet in the surf zone, as high as 11 to 12 feet offshore. Of course, much higher waves near where this system makes landfall. Elsewhere, we have a couple of other areas that we're watching out in the Atlantic Basin. Hurricane Franklin, now a Category 3 storm, huge eye with the storm as it's now working to the northeast. This will bypass Bermuda but still bring them tropical storm force conditions. And eventually this will become a post-tropical system by the weekend as it works into the North Atlantic. And we have newly formed Tropical Depression 11, may briefly become Tropical Storm Jose by Thursday morning, but then wind shear will tear this system apart. We're keeping our eyes on Idalia over the next couple days, and you can follow along at home as well. Head over to WKRG.com and check out our hurricane map room. All the latest graphics. Once the forecast comes down for the Hurricane Center, you'll see it there on the website. Make sure you stay with WKRG for your entire tropical weather coverage throughout the entire hurricane season.